We are back in the woods, ladies and gents. We are in Norfolk today in this beautiful, largely coniferous forest. I have consumed a bacon butty and a hot sausage roll this morning to fuel me up and get me up to cruising altitude for the day. In the interest of a balanced diet, I have chocolate cake for later, of course. So anyway, we're shooting on the Z8 in a cage to make it easy to suspend it under the tripod. But yeah, Z8. 50mm macro lens, and we're going to shoot some great stuff. So let's crack on and get to work. Right, the first shot is these three little blobs here, these sort of pinky orangey kind of blobs. No idea what they are. They might turn into some sort of jelly ear or something. I don't really know, to be honest. But anyway, I think they'll make quite a nice shot. I'll get some nice light coming through them, and I'm going to set them up and see how it looks. Right, we're set up on these three blobs here, forming a sort of triangle. I think that's just quite a nice sort of pleasing composition. You can see from one of the other cameras that we've got a light overhead here. I'll just point to it. This light here overhead is just lighting directly down onto the blobs from not very far, probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 centimeters above. You can see we've got a light down at the bottom. I'll point to that one as well. And that is just throwing some warm light up under here. So if I turn both of those lights off, you can see what they're doing. So without the lights, there's very little natural light at all. So we're kind of entirely lit by artificial light for this shot. Just flick that one back on. And then if I turn the bottom one off, then you can see how it goes darker under here. And if I just flick that one on and off a couple of times, then you can see the difference that makes. Gives a nice little warm highlight here. And now if I just turn the top light off, then you can see the difference at the top, and you can really see what the light at the bottom is doing. So if I turn the top light back on a couple of times, on and off a couple of times, you can see what that's doing. So it's sort of emulating what the daylight would be doing, but in a more kind of predictable and controllable way. So we are going to stack this shot because there's lots of detail. This blob here is quite a bit closer to the camera than the other two. You can't really see from this image, but it is closer. So we're going to shoot at f8, 1/8 of a second. That's no problem because there's no subject movement. ISO 64, best quality on this camera. I've taken a spot reading from this area here, and I think that's about sort of mid-grey, that would be. So we're not far off what the meter actually says with the focus point down here. So what I'm going to do is focus on, if I can get my stick in the right place, focus on this little point down here. So I just focus on that now using the autofocus. That gives you an idea how this is actually closer to the camera than these two. So we're going to shoot a stack, and as I'm talking, I'm trying to decide how many images to do. So let's bring the focus slightly closer towards, we're kind of at the minimum focusing distance pretty much. That's as close as I can go. So I'm going to shoot, let's go 150 images. I don't think we'll need more than, I don't know, 20. But let's shoot the 150 and see what we get. So as expected, we've gone way past what we need, but better to have the shots and discard them later than not have them. So if that stack's okay, here it is now. Right, that shot is done, ladies and gents, but that is not the amazing news of the day. The amazing news of the day is that many months ago, probably, I don't know, must be 7, 8, 9 months ago, in this very forest, I lost the cover for my DJI Pocket 3. And that annoyed me on two fronts. One, I'd lost it, and two, I don't like people leaving their plastic rubbish in the forest. It's also impossible to buy one in the UK. But today, my very wonderful better half has found my lost DJI Pocket 3 cover. It's even still got the little wide angle lens inside it. So that is the amazing news of the day. Anyway, now that that has been found, I mean, it needs a good clean and it needs to have a good dry off and have the spiders removed from it. But yeah, amazing news of the day. Amazing news for me anyway. So I'm now going to crack on and find another shot. The next shot, ladies and gents, is this beautiful specimen here. Just a sort of perfect, elegant shape with some lovely detail on the cap. And it's really just kind of glistening beautifully. And I'll stop waffling and set it up. Right, we're set up on this beautiful, slender, elegant mushroom here. Lots of lovely detail in the cap here. The cap is sort of, I've kind of offset it against this log in the background. So although this is dark and this is dark, hopefully the lighting makes that stand out nicely. So you can see we've got an LED on the left hand side, slightly behind the subject, which is providing this light coming in here. You can see we've got one on the right hand side, even more behind the subject, which is providing this light here, is lighting up these edges. And if I just turn both of those off, you can see the difference that makes. The mushroom itself is very dark and the background's very dark, but the light just helps it stand out. I just turn that on and off a few times just so you can see what's happening there. So if I just turn both lights off and then turn the left hand light on, you can see what that left hand light is doing, just lighting this side. Just turn that off again, flick it on. Then if I switch to just the right hand light, then you can see how the right hand light is sort of helping this bit stand out against the background. And if I just turn that on and off a couple of times, you can see what that's doing. So then if we go back to both lights, you can see how it together the lights sort of help it stand out from the background. So exposure wise, we're going for f5.6. because I want to try and keep this background slightly more out of focus than if I shot at a smaller aperture. I am just going to reduce the shutter speed slightly, increase the shutter speed slightly, make it slightly faster. That's what I'm trying to say. So we're going for a 1/13 of a second. According to the meter, we're underexposed by 2 stops, but we're going to ignore that because the meter is getting in a panic about all this dark stuff and we're interested in the lighter edges. We don't want to clip those. So 1/13 of a second, 5.6, ISO 64, and we're going to shoot a stack. So we're going to focus on this front edge here. I'm going to draw the focus just slightly towards me, just to make sure I don't miss anything. And then we're going to shoot a stack. So we're not going to shoot 150. We're going to shoot 100. Step width of 1, and I'm going to shoot that now. So looking at the final shot in the stack, we're miles past where we need to be. So we'll probably use, I don't know, 15 or 20 of those. And if that stack's okay, here it is now. Right, that shot is done. Ladies and gents, I've had my lunch. I would have shown you the chocolate cake, but as soon as I saw it, my instincts kicked in and I just scoffed it down. Anyway, we're now going to crack on and find another shot. Right, the next shot, ladies and gents, is this beautiful piece of lichen.
Subscribe.
Right, the next shot, ladies and gents, is this beautiful piece of lichen.
Subscribe.
On this log here. I don't think I'm going to focus stack it. I think I'm just going to use a aperture that gives us some nice kind of out of focus goodness. So I'm going to set that up and see how it looks. Right, we're set up on this shot, ladies and gents. We've got this beautiful piece of lichen here. It's actually really dark now, so the background is almost black because we're shooting almost in darkness. You can see we've got an LED on the left hand side that is just throwing some light here. LED on the right hand side coming slightly down, which is providing this light here. And if I just flick those lights off, you'll be able to see nothing at all. So that gives you some idea how dark it actually is. So lights back on. We've got this kind of stalk, stem, twig, whatever this is. It's the twig, isn't it? That is kind of leading in. I might darken that down a bit in post-processing. It's a bit bright. But yeah, I'm going to shoot it and see what we get. I'm not going to aim to get the entire thing sharp. I think it'd be nice to have some sharp bits here, and some sharp bits here, and just let this back stuff go out of focus. Otherwise, I think it's going to be way too busy. We are shooting at f8, 80th of a second, because this thing is actually moving about a bit in the breeze. I'm not sure how well you can see that. So we need ISO 320 in order to get 80th of a second at f8. So exposure wise, we can completely ignore the meter because it thinks we're massively underexposed. I don't think we are. We're interested in this. We're not interested in all this business back here. So that's pretty much it. I'm just going to stack it. I'm going to focus on this point just here. I'm going to draw the focus towards me just to make sure I don't miss anything. And then that will give me sort of complete freedom to choose what I want in focus later on. So I'm just going to pull it a bit further towards me. That's it. And now I'm going to shoot stack. So I'm going to shoot 100 images, step with the one, and I'm going to shoot that now. So looking at the final shot in the stack, we're past the subject, so if I did want to stack the whole thing I could, but I'll probably just pick a section and stack that, and if it stacks okay, here it is now. Right, that shot is done, ladies and gents, and I can feel my bacon sandwich and sausage roll starting to wear off, so I'm going to call it a day. See you next time. Cheers.